As far as people lining up and purchasing more guns, I think that we've seen for some time now that those who oppose any common sense gun control or gun safety measures have a pretty effective way of ginning up fear on the part of gun owners that somehow the federal government's about to take all your guns away. And that there's probably an economic element to that. It obviously is good for business.
All right, that was the president yesterday talking about some of the motivations maybe behind some of the ginning up of fears here. But let's talk about what he ought to do, what he can do with this Congress, and what he ought to do maybe as a line of principle. I want to bring in our panel on this conversation here. Let's start with Jeannie Zaino, Dean, a professor of political science at Iona College here, one of our favorites. Jeannie, thank you. And Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. And Andrew, who you met, our senior political correspondent. All right, Jeannie, let me ask you. This Thursday, I've had these guys at the table and others debate whether or not the president should go big on this or should take a more incremental approach. Harry Reid and others have said they probably can't get an assault weapons ban through, but the feeling is if the president doesn't even try, there's going to be a lot of blowback. What do you think? What approach do you think he takes this Thursday?
Well, I think he should go big, and I agree. I don't think he's going to get everything he's asking for, but I think he should go big, and I think he should try to engage Congress and bring everybody to the table. That said, he has said he may use an executive order, and I have to say Congress may prefer it that way. I mean, that has been the way that Congress has operated. They prefer not to make those hard decisions. So as much as the president can
But there's only so much he can do, right, with the executive orders. I mean, he can do some stuff here, but he can't do across the board. He can't put it in whatever plan he wants. I mean...
No, I mean, there are some limitations, but let's face it, in a Congress like this, he may be able to get more done by executive order, and again, Congress may prefer that. I mean, people talk about that as if the president is overreaching, when in fact, Congress often likes to give them any president that power because they don't want to make those.
They'd love that.
They would love that.
He can tweak existing laws with executive order. He can't create new ones. And Ed Meese, the Attorney General under Ronald Reagan, in an interview with a conservative website, said if he does too much by executive order, Congress should impeach him.
Yeah, I think Ed Meese is...
his day is long gone.
But I'm just saying
Except they want him to do that.
Let's bring in the callers, guys, and jump in wherever you want. Let's start off with Mike. He's calling us from Mineola. Mike, what do you think? What do you want to hear from the president? And what if he says he's pushing for an assault weapons ban? Would you support it?
No, I'm going to tell you why. Assault rifles are made for one thing and one thing only. They're made to kill a lot of people and kill a lot of people in one shot, and that's all they are.
All right, Mike, thank you. Let's see if Joe in Wantagh agrees with you. Joe, you're on the line.
Yes, hi. I do not go with what Cuomo or the president is saying, because one, they are completely wrong. Assault rifle is one with a selector switch which makes it full auto. These are not. They're actually saying what it is, and it's wrong. It's actually just a hunting rifle. There's no difference except the cosmetics of the gun.
Okay, you know what? If I could stay with me, Joe, here. A basic question. Mr. Lanza, when he walked into that Newtown school, he had an AR-15 on him. Do you think people should be able to buy and be able to load in a full clip here an AR-15? Do you think that gun that he used to kill 20 children and 6 adults, do you think that should be legal for purchase in the United States?
I can't see a reason why not. I know plenty of people that have them, and you know what? The principal should have had one, and so should...
All right, Joe, we agreed, disagree. I don't think we're going to reach a consensus, you and I, on that one. But I think if you need one reason, I think you had 20 that day. But let's see if Lisa, how she feels. She's calling us from Westchester. Lisa, you're on the line. You heard from Joe. He said the answer here is more guns, not fewer. Do you agree with him?
I would eliminate all of it. This is really bothering me, and it's... No, I would really eliminate all of them.
Okay, and there, my friends, is the consensus that the president will walk into. A modified ban on certain things, add more guns to the mainstream, Dominic, from the second call, and the third one wants to ban guns. So there in synopsis with 3 quick phone calls, and thank you very much, by the way, for your calls, is this debate that has gripped this country. And with all due respect in Albany, it's fantastic what he did. That doesn't solve the problem. You don't close borders off, as we know, with guns. You got to get everybody to buy in, and that starts with the president.
Well, I think what the dean was saying is exactly right, or what she was alluding to. You will never, in a million years, get everyone to buy into an argument one way or the other. And so that's why the president, with his legacy in mind, you know, maybe things have happened for a reason. The stars are aligning. The election is past him. He can focus on his legacy. He can do things that Congress can say, hey, I had nothing to do with it, one way or the other. He can give them a pass. But this president, I've consistently said on this argument, he's going to go big. He has no choice. When he went to Newtown, and visited with the families of those 20 babies, it's unimaginable to think that those kids are in the ground, age 16,
Yep,
6 and 7. The president has no other choice than to go big. No other choice. Now, if Congress wants to play with this issue, that's on Congress. It will be reflected by the American people on Congress.
Is it enough, Andrew, for him to try, or do you think he enlists stakeholders? It's not a secret he's been coordinating with Mayor Bloomberg, and Mayor Bloomberg's going to put a lot of money behind this. And you have, as the stakeholders we've talked about on the show, you have law enforcement, you have even elements military, you have mayors against gun violence, you have a lot of folks who are willing, it seems, to get invested in this, both financially and also put their support behind. There's a lot on the agenda here for the next 60 days in this country. Is it enough the president tries, or do you think he's going to keep coming back and back and back to this?
Well, I don't, it's hard to know at this point. I mean, right now, from the numbers that you were stating in your editorial,
it's a political winner.
There's an opportunity. There's, just like we saw after Virginia Tech, there seems to be a softening of people's views when it comes to the need to do something. People seem to be in agreement that we're in a crisis and we need to do something. And at times like these, the American people will say,
do the political math with me, guys. I don't see the downside, even if he comes back and back. If 2 out of 3 Americans, and the other third were never, he doesn't run for anything, but they were never going to support him no matter what he said, okay? If 2 out of 3 Americans and all the big things that he wants to do support him, but he shows a Congress that won't do it with him.
But
where's the downside?
There's an opportunity to institute change now that people see it has an impact and it actually saves lives, or you know, hopefully it doesn't.
But if you can't get now, Andrew, after Newtown, you never will.
But if you can't get it done now, odds are that public opinion window is going to change, and if for him to keep going back to that again and again and again in the face of, you know, opposition opinion from the general public.
He's not going to keep going back. This is a one-time opportunity. It's do or die right now.
And I think that Andrew Cuomo is a good example of that. I mean, he did his State of the State. He pushed this through. And I think one thing we haven't talked enough about is the fact that the law, the interpretation by the most conservative members of the Supreme Court are on the side of the president on this. Justice Scalia has said, yes, you can regulate assault weapons.
There is a limit to the Second
There is a
Amendment.
limit to every amendment. So the law is on his side by the most conservative interpretations. That's something that we have not talked enough about, but the president can certainly use. But I agree with Dominic. He has a narrow window of opportunity. He's got to go big. He's got to make his case. Listen, he has no choice given what happened in Newtown. He's got to go big, and if Congress wants to rebuke that, he goes executive order.
100%. In fact, I even think, if anything,
I like
he's
when
waited
you say
almost
that.
too long. Yes, all right.
I like that, Richard.
We're going to take a break here, but one of the stakeholders that I was just talking to Andrew about here that I think is important is, because I think the messenger is almost as important here, if not more so, than the message. How about law enforcement? Where does law enforcement stand on this? Certainly not a group you'd associate with a bleeding hearts. When we come back, we'll hear from a former NYPD captain. He'll tell you what he thinks of New York's new gun law. Stay with us.